Please, Ricardo, don't make me do this. The trembling voice echoed through the empty hallways of the mansion, while Ricardo held the old diary with shaking hands. The yellowed pages revealed secrets that could destroy not only his family, but everything he had built in 30 years. 3 days earlier, everything seemed normal in the millionaire's life. Ricardo Silva was one of the richest businessmen in the country. At 55, he had built a real estate empire worth over $500 million. His 3-story mansion in an upscale area of the city was the symbol of his success. 15 bedrooms, Olympic pool, gardens that looked like movie sets, and a library with over 10,000 rare books. Widowed for 5 years, Ricardo lived alone in that vastness, accompanied only by housekeeper Mrs. Carmen, who had worked for the family for over 2 decades. Carmen was a 60-year-old woman, discreet and efficient, who knew every corner of that house better than the owner himself. Ricardo's life was a strict routine: wake up at 5:30 a.m., work out in his private gym, have breakfast while reviewing financial reports, and head to the corporate office downtown. He always returned at 7 p.m., dined alone in the main hall, and retreated to his private office to work late into the night. But everything changed on a rainy Thursday in October. Carmen had asked to renovate Ricardo's office. She explained that she had noticed some water damage on the wall behind the classic bookshelf, and it would be necessary to remove everything to make repairs. Ricardo, always trusting the housekeeper's judgment, immediately authorized it. The next morning, when the workers arrived and began moving the heavy mahogany bookshelf, something unexpected happened. The wall revealed a hidden cavity, a secret compartment that no one knew existed. "Mr. Ricardo," Carmen shouted from the office, "come see this." Ricardo ran up the stairs. When he reached the office, he saw the workers standing still, staring at an opening in the wall. Inside the compartment was a small, dusty wooden box. "My God," Ricardo murmured, carefully taking the box. "This house is over 80 years old. This must have been here since construction." Carmen watched nervously as Ricardo slowly opened the box. Inside was a brown leather diary, visibly old, and some black and white photographs that appeared to be from the 1940s. "Who could have hidden this here?" Ricardo asked, more to himself. That night, alone in his room, Ricardo began reading the diary. The handwriting was elegant, clearly feminine, and the first pages seemed normal: descriptions of daily life, comments about the weather, lists of household chores. But as he progressed through the reading, the content became increasingly disturbing. March 15, 1943. "He came home early today. I heard the screams again from the basement. I pretend I don't hear them, but I know Maria and the other women are down there. God forgive me for my cowardice." Ricardo stopped reading, his heart racing. What women? What screams? He continued reading with a mixture of fascination and horror. March 20th, 1943. "I discovered where he hides the keys. Today at dawn, when he was sure I was sleeping, I managed to go down to the basement. What I saw, my God, I'll never be able to forget. There were 7 women chained up. He keeps them as slaves. Some could barely speak. One of them begged me with her eyes to help them."
Ricardo's hands were shaking. The diary was revealing that the first owner of his mansion, where he had lived for 12 years, had been a monster. But the worst was yet to come. March 25, 1943. "He found out that I know. He saw it in my face when I came back from the basement. He said if I tell anyone, he'll kill me and then kill my little sister too. But I can't live with this guilt. The women told me there are other houses, an entire network. He's not alone in this." Ricardo got up from the bed and began pacing back and forth. His mind was in panic. He needed to know more, but at the same time was afraid of what he might discover. He continued reading. April 2nd, 1943. I got the names. There are 5 families involved in this atrocity, all respectable people in society. A judge, 2 businessmen, a doctor, and a local politician. They meet every full moon I can't even write what they do. I'm documenting everything because if something happens to me, someone needs to know the truth. Ricardo's blood ran cold. 5 respectable families from 1940 society involved in something horrible. And his mansion was the center of it all. But the most shocking revelation was still to come. April 10, 1943. I discovered something terrible about my own family. My husband isn't just an accomplice, he's the leader of all this. He's the one who organized this entire network of horror. And worse, I found documents that prove my own father knew everything and received money to keep quiet. The blood running through my veins is stained forever. Ricardo dropped the diary to the floor. It couldn't be true, but when he looked at the photographs that were in the box, he saw men in elegant suits posing in front of his mansion. On the back of one of the photos, it was written, Silva Family, Regional Patriarchs, 1940. Silva, his same last name. With trembling hands, Ricardo grabbed his laptop and began researching his family's genealogy. 2 hours later, the brutal truth was clear. The leader of that network of horrors from the 1940s was his own great-grandfather. The mansion where he lived, the money that financed his family's first businesses, the entire foundation of his current fortune. Everything had its origin in those terrible crimes from 80 years ago. But the diary still wasn't finished. April 15th, 1943. Today is my last entry. I'm going to try to free the women tonight. If I can't, at least I left this record hidden where someday someone might find it. If you're reading this, know that in the back garden under the white rose bush, the evidence that can prove everything is buried. Documents, photographs, contracts, everything necessary to bring justice. My name is Elena Silva. Remember me. Ricardo couldn't sleep that night. The next morning, he dismissed Carmen and the gardeners. He grabbed a shovel and went straight to the back garden, where there was a century-old white rose bush he had always admired for its beauty. He began digging. 2 hours later, the shovel hit something solid. It was a rusted metal box, but still intact. When he opened it, he found exactly what Elena had promised. Dozens of documents, signed contracts, disturbing photographs, and even payment receipts. Everything proved that his family had built their initial fortune through those crimes from 80 years ago. But the most shocking discovery was in a sealed envelope at the bottom of the box. Inside was a birth certificate. Elena Silva wasn't just his great-grandfather's wife, she was his great-grandmother. The brave woman who tried to expose the crimes was his own ancestor. And there was more, a final letter from Elena, never sent, addressed to my future great-grandson, if he exists. If you're reading this, it's because you managed to find the truth I hid. I know carrying this burden is terrible, but now you have a choice. You can hide these crimes forever, or you can use your privileged position to bring the justice I could never achieve. The families who participated in this still exist, still have power, still benefit from dirty money. The choice is yours. Ricardo stayed locked in the mansion for 3 days, unable to eat properly, unable to work. His mind was at war. On one side, revealing the truth would mean destroying his reputation, losing most of his fortune, and staining his family's name forever. On the other hand, keeping silent meant being complicit in the same crimes his great-grandfather committed. On the 4th night, Ricardo made his decision. He called the most respected newspaper in the city and scheduled an exclusive interview. He contacted human rights organizations. He sought lawyers specialized in historical crimes. But his first action was different. He went to the city center and found the shelter for women victims of violence and made an anonymous donation of $50 million. It wasn't to clear his conscience. It was to honor Elena's memory and the women she tried to save. 2 weeks later, the story went public. The scandal shook local society. 3 of the 5 families mentioned in the diary still had influential descendants in politics and business. Investigations were opened. Fortunes were questioned. Ricardo lost about $200 million in canceled business deals and lawsuits, but gained something money can't buy: peace of mind. Today, 5 years later, he transformed his mansion into a support center for women in vulnerable situations. In the garden where he found the evidence, he constructed a memorial honoring Elena and the victims of historical crimes. The white rosebush is still there, now cared for by women who found in the mansion a safe place to rebuild their lives. Ricardo learned that sometimes we find treasures buried in the past, but those treasures aren't always gold. Sometimes they're truths that hurt but set us free. What about you? If you found evidence that your family had a dark past, would you have the courage to do the right thing, even knowing it could cost you everything you've built? The choice between convenient silence and uncomfortable truth defines who we really are.